So the overarching thing of plasma intelligence is that plasma is a living ether. Just think of it as it's the fabric of reality and it's alive. And it's always feedbacking with your consciousness. Plasma also connects us to, you can call God, higher consciousness, the mystery, our multidimensional self. How it reaches us is with plasma. Think of the matrix and the goo. Plasma is like the glue or the goo that form is made out of. Plasma means to form. So plasma intelligence is literally higher intelligence working with plasma, and then we feedback with that.
All right, guys, today we have another special guest with us. We have Dana Kippel. Now, she is a social media thought leader. She is a filmmaker, actress, author, and she is a metaphysical philosopher where she focuses on this thing called plasma intelligence. And then she's also created this field of study she calls Holonic metadynamics. Now, these are a lot of new terms for me, but it sounds like really fascinating stuff, so I'm looking forward to this one.
This has potential to be the most fascinating interview we've ever done. Stay tuned.
All right, I'm just asking that this meeting be for our highest alignment and the highest alignment for anyone watching. Okay.
I agree with that.
Awesome. All right, Dana, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. One of the places we usually always like to begin with our guests is kind of like a backstory, just so those who are unfamiliar with your work and what you do, you can let them in on some of the insights that you've been sharing on your social media feeds, because you've got a lot there. There's a lot of subjects we can touch on today.
Yeah.
But maybe a little bit of a backstory, how you kind of got to where you are,
Sure.
talking about the subjects that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a very long story, so I'll try to shorten it a little bit, but basically, um, I just started to really dive into this full time about 5 to 4 years ago. For most of my life, I wanted to be an actor and a film director. So let me go back. So when I was very young, I dealt with a lot of trauma, a lot of bullying. I thought I was like a victim to the world. I had no control over anything. I lived in a fantasy land in my head, which was very safe for me. I struggled with addiction in my teenage years, until I was 21 when I got sober. So I was basically just living on autopilot in a crazy fear state a lot of my life. And then when I was in my 20s, I was sober, I was working in mental health, but I never really fixed the root of any of these things that gave me an addiction. So I just got in relationships instead. So once again, I was not facing myself or my own darknesses in those ways, just everything that happened to me as a kid. So I was working then in mental health and business development for 10 years. So I learned the importance, even if I wasn't facing it myself at the time, of being grounded, um, and grounding techniques and, getting therapy and stuff. So I still do that to this day because I think when you're in a spiritual stuff like we are, you have to learn how to ground yourself and also need to be obviously working on yourself. We can't just blab all our channelings and not work on or face ourselves. So that was important to me, and I think that's why I think I was meant to work in that field for a long time, to know those things. Then when I was 30, I finally went after what I thought was my dream, was acting and directing. So I moved to Los Angeles from Florida, started acting and directing. It was definitely mostly ego. I just wanted to be this famous actor, get all this attention because my whole life, once again, that I was just searching for outside validation, whether it was drugs or guys or just wanting to be cool because I was never cool. Um, and then obviously I have this awareness now. I did not then. So I thought that was like my dream because I always knew I would have a platform and I just thought, oh, well, of course that will be acting. And then about like 6 months to a year into being in LA, I started to meditate. I had a really bad heartbreak. And it's the first time I actually really faced myself and all these darknesses and sat with myself. It was extremely hard, but that's when kind of like I always have been, intuition. I've always thought different, been very smart, had an intuition. Sorry, I'm gonna die. Danica, stop. Shh. I'm in an interview.
I love your dog because he shows up in all your like comment and your
I'll
content every
show
now and then.
I'll show you really quick. Hold on. Danica, say hello, you gremlin. Say hi.
Oh, look at him, he's cute.
Say plasma.
That's awesome.
Hi.
Plasma.
So yeah, I started meditating and I was on a spiritual journey. And then very quickly I realized, I'm so glad I realized this quickly because I know sometimes this takes people forever, is that I was once again searching outside myself in all of these cultures and religions and spiritual practices. And through that, somehow the word plasma came through to me, said it was the glue for us to connect to it ourselves, said that, you can call it whatever you want. That doesn't matter. It made that very clear to me. And it said, but this energy people are working with in science, they call it plasma. It's the vehicle for consciousness. It's once again what will connect you back to yourself. And then I just got like 4 years of downloads, which I'm now writing in a book. So I did not ask for that, but as soon as this happened, I just knew that I was meant to do this. I had a lot of resistance to it. I tried to still act and nothing was working out. And I just knew I was meant to write this book. I tried to make a movie, nothing was working out. And that's when finally I like surrendered to the call and I was like, okay, I'm writing this book. And then my life has, completely gotten better and changed. And here I am now. I'm still on my journey. But I think the most important thing that I've learned is instead of escaping life through all these things, how can we use spirituality or what I like to call metaphysics to connect us more to this beautiful life? So that's where I'm at right now, and I'm writing my book on
Do you
plasma.
like Deepak Chopra? He brings in science a lot.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? Okay, so I've met him once.
Oh, cool.
But like we're not friends. I mean, maybe one day, but I've never read his books and I need to, and I'm so embarrassed to say that. But yes, he'll be at a conference I'll be at called The Science of Consciousness. So I am very aware that he and me probably think similar.
And you said you tried to make a movie. James was saying that
I made
you
one.
you have a movie on
Well,
it's
I do.
available on Prime, right?
It's called Reflect, but it was a failure in the sense that like yes, it was an indie film, but like I didn't make money off of it. It didn't get me any other opportunities. So I was like, why did this happen to me? And like I know I'm talented. I know I'll make better films. I know it was only my first, and it's still a good film for what it is. Like it's not terrible, but I was not meant to make another film. I was meant to write this book.
Hey,
So,
that's
Hey,
how it
well, you know
goes.
what you're doing. You
yeah.
mentioned downloads there. That's a term I've kind of heard by other guests that we've had on this show.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
it made me want to ask you, are you a claircognizant?
So, I mean, I didn't know my whole life, like, I never really called it anything, but I do have like clairaudience where, like I could just very clearly hear my inner voice. I can clearly hear, other stuff. Sometimes it's a knowing. Sometimes I actually hear words. Sometimes I see visions. But this has been my normal life. So like I didn't know there was like a Claire anything, like people just made fun of me. So now knowing that, yeah, I'm sure I have all that stuff, but for me it's just being normal, like a normal human thing.
I don't think it's like I think that that does count for something like you mentioned. I can hear my own inner voice.
Yeah.
For take somebody that's never meditated at all, I don't think they're aware of their own inner like they might be if they're introspective by nature. But I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people walking around that are not aware of how many thoughts they're having.
No, you're right. I mean, and I'm sure there were points where I wasn't either, from my teenage years for sure. But no, you're right. It's more that like I know everyone's capable of it, but for me yeah, it is natural. And I'm not like the type of psychic that will tell you what will happen in your life tomorrow or whatever. But I am someone that can pick up on a lot of stuff from people and uh God, I don't know. Yeah.
It sounds like
Yeah.
knowledge, like, because I think the claircognizant thing is kind of like esoteric knowledge, like
Uh,
new ideas about things start coming to you.
oh, yes.
Um, and that's what, yeah, that's why I asked.
Yes.
Because some of the things that you've mentioned in some of your videos seem to
Yeah.
reflect that. Now, when it
Yep.
comes
Out
to
of
the,
nowhere.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's
Uh,
what the, are you familiar with The Alchemist on YouTube?
No, but I
Sarah
do
Caldy.
book, The Alchemist. That's amazing.
No,
I have like I have like the comic book. I have like the grgraphic novel
Oh,
of
you
The
do?
Alchemist.
yeah.
Oh, I can't wait till that's a movie. But no, I know what you're talking of. Now that you're saying it, does she have dark hair?
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
watched her, but I've seen her videos. I know she's very popular.
Yeah, yes, yeah. She would classify herself as a claircognizant, and we asked her what it was, and she explained a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff that you're talking about, and she
Okay.
even described it as downloads, like
Yeah.
floods of information coming to them.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes. I definitely have that. And I've had to learn how to manage it correctly because you can get downloads and sometimes they can come out in ways that like what's the word, or defunct. Like if you if you attach your ego to them, you all of a sudden think you're the only god in the world, or like you think you're like the chosen one. And it's actually like no, everyone can get these. And these might be like these big thematic archetypal stories, even with Jesus, whoever, but they're either for me to learn more about myself or sometimes they're to share with other people. But like I'm very aware that I'm not special in the case where anyone can have it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Interesting. How would like if let's say somebody was watching this and they were like, "Well, I
Mhm.
want to have a download." How would you
Yeah.
point them in that direction?
Oh my God, I'm writing about this in my book. I there's something I call like the Z axis, but basically it's like whatever way works for y'all, like whoever's watching this and how to get present. Basically to become in receptive mode, there's a word negative capability by some guy named Keats. He talks about being in negative capability. Um, you have to be able to not be searching for anything or grasping. It's just getting in a receptive state and closing your eyes and not like trying to learn a lesson or meet some kind of figure. I used to be actually way better at it because then I started overthinking it. Because when I was like really innocent, didn't know what I was doing is when it all came through a lot. Yeah, and then you just kind of you'll start to usually have a vision or a knowing, and then you just follow it and then later you write it down. So like you can't attach meaning to it. It's kind of like you're watching a movie in your head. And then there's a couple different kinds. There's that, and then of course when I'm writing, it's just flowing through me. So kind of the same thing. It's almost like a vision or a movie's coming through me where I'm not thinking about it. I'm just like writing, and then sometimes I'll go back and edit, and then I'll co-create with the download, which is when I do apply my own consciousness to it. Um, so yeah, there's so many different ways. But yeah, just getting present in whatever way you can in a receptive state, not reaching.
That is, this is going to sound like bullshit because I've never talked about this before. But when you were
Tell me.
speaking there, I have a very similar thing, and it happens. You know what
Yes,
hypnagogia
I
is,
get
or
those all the time. I'll talk about that all.
hypnopompia. So it's the state right between falling asleep or the state just as you're waking up. You
Yeah.
can get this dreamlike state, and
Mhm.
I love it. And
Yeah,
it's
same.
interesting because good ideas will come. A lot of it is visual, and it'll be something like profound beauty accompanied by a sense of familiarity. Like I've seen, like really potent. I've seen
Yeah.
this, and this is beautiful, and I couldn't even describe it if I wanted to.
Yes.
Um, and sometimes ideas will come in, and then I find I'll get excited about the ideas, distracted, go off and try to write it down, and then it ruins the whole thing. There's an
Yeah.
aspect of this that seems to be like you can't be too needy with it or something.
It's like okay, so then you're applying your consciousness to your
Yeah.
logic. It's almost like it's like the plasma showing stories to you. So like if you apply your consciousness too quick, that tightens the flow you were having, so it'll stop it. That's your logic. So like what I have to do is set an intention now. So like what you can do is quickly with your consciousness, if you want to write it down, set an intention. I intend to remember all of this for my or what I need to for my highest good, and then let it keep showing itself to you. Because I had the same problem where I'd be nervous to forget. I'd start to write it down and I would ruin the whole experience.
Yeah.
Because, and sometimes you'd honestly do just forget. And guess what? Whatever this thing is coming in, it's way more smart than us. Like, or it's not more powerful, but it's smart in a way where it'll come through again if it's that important. So like I've gotten ideas that feel like science revolutions and I literally forget them. And I'm like, no. And then they'll just come back.
But it can play out very synchronistically. Like even if
Yeah.
you do your jankiest version of like
Yeah.
I animate sometimes and we both are into
Oh,
creative stuff.
yeah.
And one of these things, I can't remember if it was a legitimate dream or one
Mhm.
of these like hypnagogic states, but I got an idea for an animation and then like I posted it and some guy that I never thought would be aware of me, who's like my hero in that field, was like awesome, like commented on the thing that I
Yeah.
posted. And that's like a very egoic type thing. But
No,
in
it's
a
not.
nutshell, if you do something with it,
Yeah.
it kind of can spookily be like, that's weird how this all, it's almost like whatever this was contributed to the future that ends up being sort of an inevitability, like a weird synchronistic loop or something.
But that's why you have them. You're supposed to do stuff with them. You're supposed to share all of that. The question is like, do you want to share just in your journal or do you want to share it with humanity? And that's for you to decipher. But like the whole reason you're getting in those is to have those kind of moments. It's yeah, it's very, very special things. Do you want to hear the one I had this morning that kept repeating
Yeah.
me, so I wrote it
Yeah,
down?
let's hear it.
Straight
It's
from the
really,
source.
yeah, it's just a sentence, but it is pretty, I think it's pretty interesting. You know what? I'm just gonna paraphrase. It was something like you're okay, the yellow brick road, and it said your choices make your choices that align with your heart and soul make the yellow brick road. There is no path, there is no road to follow. There's thousands of different roads, and you're creating
Mm.
your own, co-creating your own yellow brick road with your choices that are aligned with your heart and soul, not your ego, not your logic. So every choice you make from your heart and soul, or your highest consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that is what someone would call the yellow brick road or the magic road. And that, yeah, no one needs to worry about if they're on the right path. You're creating the path.
Well, it's yeah. Well, to me, it's
Yeah.
what I interpreted from that was that you're not on a spiritual path. You are the spiritual path. That was kind of how I kind of.
And everyone's is different. Like
Yeah, it's like
if
weird.
you're a cook, that has nothing to do with spirituality, and you're working with your heart and soul, and you make a restaurant, you're getting all these cool ideas. Like sometimes when we're spiritual, we think that people that aren't spiritual are like beneath us, and they're not. Like that person's following their yellow brick road. Like leave them alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything can, like a spiritual realization, I think, can probably happen in any vocation somebody's doing. Um,
Let's talk plasma. Come on.
well,
we
I wanted to
gotta-
say one more thing because I don't know, I guess
Okay.
I'm feeling
Yeah.
a little selfish right now.
Yeah.
But one trick that I kind of got from Terrence McKenna is he would talk
Yeah.
about when he would go into these mushroom trips that he would go, show me, show me. You know what I mean? Because you want to see the light show. And so every now and then, if I'm falling asleep, I won't say it next to my
Yeah.
wife there, weird her out. But in my mind, I'll be like show me. And then I let it go. Because
Yeah.
you can't really make it happen, right? You can't really make these things happen, but they can
You
happen.
you can make it happen, but it's a whole different experience. So like when you're letting it happen, that's like plasma's intelligence or a higher intelligence coming down to you. I make it happen constantly, and I could say it's downloads, but it's not. Like I'll create a vision in my head and create people talking to me, and that's just really own regurgitations from my psyche. There's
Like
no,
NPCs. I have no new information for you.
yeah, so I can do that, but you can usually know because if you get a headache, your eyes start hurting, you're trying too hard.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Plasma.
let's get into it. The plasma. This is kind of like the core of. You've got that and your holonic metadynamics,
Metadynamics.
which we can kind of get into. But
Yeah.
let's start maybe with the plasma intelligence. There, maybe you could, for our audience out there, explain exactly what is that.
Okay, it has a lot of, so everything has a multidimensional meaning, but let me try to say it as simple as I can. So I'll say the two meanings. So the overarching thing of plasma intelligence is that plasma is a living ether. Just think of it as it's the fabric of reality, and it's alive. And it's always feedbacking with your consciousness. Plasma also connects us to, you can call God, higher consciousness, the mystery, our multidimensional self. How it reaches us is with plasma. Think of the matrix and the goo. Plasma is like the glue or the goo that form is made out of. Plasma means to form. So plasma intelligence is literally higher intelligence working with plasma, and then we feedback with that. That's not the simplest thing. But yeah, so then So yeah, I mean that's plasma intelligence. And then there's the other meaning. I call it plasma consciousness synergy as well, which is basically that is plasma intelligence working with our consciousness. And you can apply it to dreaming, astral projection. You can apply it to anything. And then there's plasma intelligence. You can also just say is any of those things. So I'm using my plasma intelligence to timeline hop. I'm using my plasma intelligence to view the past or the future. I'm using it to astral project. I'm using it to remote view like that. I just use that as like a word to describe all those things.
I'm gonna try and attempt at like interpreting all that.
Yeah.
So maybe this is how I want it to be, but it could be
Yeah,
wrong.
tell me.
But it's like people talk about like a quantum field of potential or something like that. And if we are all connected, then maybe it is possible that I could astral project or have a say in manifestation or something like that. If I'm part of this thing, I could maybe receive information from something higher. But like you sort of described there, like an ether, like it is like an ether we're all in, and maybe we have more influence on that than we think at different levels of consciousness. Is it?
Yeah.
Am I in the ballpark here?
Yeah. And I mean
Yeah.
it's the field of infinite potentials. And what to talk science, what to create coherence or to create that, what is that called? That collapse. What is it? Quantum, it's not quantum collapse. To collapse, what is it in Schrodinger's cat where you make the choice and it collapses the wave function?
I know Schrodinger's cat.
Okay, whatever it is, the infinite potentials where you collapse it into like a reality is when you make that choice. Basically, every choice collapses the plasma into that solid moment of reality.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so you're basically let's just say this happened in like a slow motion. You're sensing the plasma with whatever state of consciousness you're at, if you maybe know how to use your senses in expanded ways, and you're taking in each moment, feedbacking with your consciousness and your little microtubules up here, and then you're collapse, you make a choice each moment, whatever you're doing, and that's your present reality, and they constantly feedback with each other.
So, from your understanding of this plasma intelligence, how can we harness this information to better understand ourselves and
Get a bunch of money and be rich and be better than everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I do write about that in my book though, because everyone wants to know. I write about money. I write about money is like a cherry on top. So like God, it's so complicated, but it's so simple too. Okay, wait, let me start with one thing. Okay, so you were saying put money on the back burner. How can we use plasma intelligence to what with our life?
well, to understand ourselves better,
Self.
this reality better, and yeah. Sorry, I'll stop there, and you can continue.
Yeah. Okay, let me look because there's so much. That's such a loaded, you know what? Let me just see what comes to me. So, okay. So, do you know like cognitive CBT, like cognitive behavioral therapy or like rewiring your
Yep.
brain neuroscience?
Yep.
Basically, plasma, let's just say that reality is this tangible field and it's made of plasma, and you can mold it. All of a sudden, you realize that you can reprogram yourself and reality now, and it's plasma. So, plasma, just like water, is completely programmable. When you know this, you can feel a certain sense of power. A lot of people even think they're the creators and the masters of the universe. The thing is, yes, we have that power, but plasma is also intelligent with the will of the mystery or whoever the heck created us in a simulation or God, whatever, or all our fifth dimensional selves, whatever you want to call this higher space, it has programmed plasma with a sort of benevolence that it's not just like your wish is my command because you've had it happen where you want something so bad and it doesn't happen. And no matter how much someone could believe in something, it might still not happen. Um, that could be because it's not for your highest good. So as long as you're like aware that there's some surrender to manifesting, and that is a completely layered subject, because then I know some of the questions someone will ask, and this is all going to be in my book because it's way easier to write because I sound like Kanye West when I'm talking because I'm all over the place.
Hey,
Not in a
I'm
bad.
with you. I do the same thing.
Yeah. So, but people, I know people will ask, okay, then how did some of the worst things in history happen? If this is such a benevolent plasma, how does mass genocide happen? Like that person believed in it and he did it. Can't people just believe in it and like create it? And the thing is, okay, yes, yes. If you believe something and you're fear-based or evil, and yes, you can make something like horrible happen and you can make something great happen, but it will never stay. It always will collapse. So there's very quick rises and falls with anyone you see doing those horrible things. There also karma is a very real thing where those things can follow you into many lives. So just know if someone's doing it from that bad place, like yes, they can use plasma, and maybe they had such a strong will and belief that they made those things happen, as unfair and horrible as they are, because unfortunately, this program plasma, it's not God, it's like or this higher intelligence, it's only programmed, and it's programmed to reflect our consciousness and be molded by our consciousness because we're co-creators. So yes, with a strong belief, you can make anything happen. You can get $1 million, whatever. But you see how quickly people lose it, right? So
Yeah.
the other thing is, if you think it in your heart and soul, and it's aligned with your highest alignment in heart and soul, and you truly believe it, yes, you can make anything happen beyond your wildest dreams, and it will stick. You can't control how fast or slow that will happen. That is up to a higher intelligence, in my opinion. Um, it could happen fast, just like some of the bad things did. It could happen slow, like bad things do. I don't know those laws. I don't claim to know those laws. All I know is that all I feel is that if you 100% believe something will happen and it also is aligned with your heart and soul, that timeline will, that plasma, that will collapse to be your reality. And every
Yeah.
choice you make will, it will bring it to you. You don't have to go, you don't have to hop a timeline. The timeline, you'll be that and you'll become that timeline. And I'm sure you all have woken up and just like you feel like you're kind of in a different timeline. As crazy as it sounds, you kind like everything just feels a little different. Like,
No, that's never
oh,
happened. I don't think
oh,
that's
really?
happened to me.
I
Has it
don't
happened to
know
you?
Oh,
to me it seems to come in phases. It depends on like in this part of my life it feels much stranger than the last
yeah.
7 years. Feels more like in cycles of like
Oh, okay.
7 years or something. I feel like I'm living. The world has changed so dramatically. Everything feels different in
Yeah.
the
Oh,
last
yeah.
7 years.
I
And
wanted to respond to some of the stuff you said.
oh,
Like,
Yeah.
as you were talking, I get the sense of like, it seems like a common lesson, whether you're great or you're meek or whatever the situation is. It
Mhm.
seems like a common lesson for all of us is at some humiliation in this life, whether it's like, I got a disease, there's nothing I can do about, or I failed. Like, I've faced all kinds of crazy adversity myself, I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody has.
Yeah.
But spooky things will happen. Like, I also have like drawn prophetic drawings. Like,
Yeah.
you must, and I'm leading to this point, which is, as a person in this field,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, because I feel this way sometimes, it gets exhausting trying to like having these epiphanies and explaining why it would be like somebody that is telepathic or what or able to
Yeah.
predict things
Telekinesis.
is
Oh,
like has to explain away why they don't use it to go to the dog track. It's like you can come up with an explanation why you could predict something and also not get the lottery numbers. But
mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's like fatigue from that sort of thing, like because I look at people that they're aware of multiple dimensionalities to reality, but they end up at basic awakening, like
Mm-hmm.
just become awakened.
Yeah.
Stop being egoic about it because your ego is part of this, and it's going
Yeah.
to be like it's going to learn about manifestation. And it's going to try it. It's going to suffer karmically and be like, "What happened?"
That's,
And
yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
I'll let you take
No,
it from there.
no, you're right though. Like, because it doesn't matter how much everything, all the things I'm saying, at least right this moment, like this force, just like a unicorn, could be used. That there's a movie coming out about that, but it can be used for good or bad. It can be harnessed for good or evil, and like it, sadly. for whatever reason, the reality is built this way where it doesn't matter what kind of person you are, you can totally use these. But here's the thing, and I go into it more in my book, and I'm having trouble putting it into words exactly, but like it is so much more fulfilling and rewarding when you are using it not to manifest. And I actually talk about how I hate manifestation. When you're using it to connect with yourself, you won't get fatigued because that all unfolds. You're just doing what you love every
Yeah.
day. You're not attached to anything that's happening. And then I'm experimenting. I'm like, let me go visit Jupiter today. See what freaking elf is inside Jupiter. Like, I don't know. You're just like, you're having fun. And then the next day you're like, I'm bored of this, or this is, I feel like I'm, losing my grip on reality a little. I'm gonna go to Six Flags and like hang out with my like least spiritual friend today. Like you just integrate it with reality, and you just be, and we do have a responsibility to use this plasma ethically and be a good person. And yes, unfortunately, you can use it for bad, and that's why it's this. There's been many secrets that have been kept from us about using this stuff, because there are people in the government, and I have no problem saying this, who are very scared. What if these things get in the wrong hands? But it's like enough is in the wrong hands. We have to trust people to learn. Like
Yeah.
we can't tell them, don't touch this. Hey, Icarus, you have wax wings. Don't touch the light. Your wings are going to melt. You're going to drown. It's like, no, how can we prepare people and give them better wings? Like,
Yeah, I was saying to James before we started this, like the statement might seem sort of obvious, but I was saying it really hurts me when I see people with very little money, like whatever, financially challenged people,
mhm.
and they're suffering out of a mentality of like lack, like I don't have enough, versus somebody that's got a lot and they're suffering with their thing, like they want more. You know what I mean? I'm like
Friend.
the person that has because our society promotes a lot of materialism.
Hmm.
Somebody that's at the point where they almost don't have an excuse. I'm like excited. I'm like, okay, you're going to get to the point where you have everything, and there's potential there that you'll realize, well, that didn't do it either. But somebody that doesn't even have the opportunity to like see the emptiness of having things, I get upset about that. I'm like, maybe you could learn to manifest or do some of these things and then learn the karma wrapped up in that. Like, oh shit, I got all my wildest dreams and everybody hates me. Everybody's jealous of me and doesn't want me to have it. So that's, you know what I mean? Because there's always a response to everything that happens, right? I think this can lead people to a point where they chill out a little bit and go with the flow. They're like, hey, good news if it happens, good news if it doesn't happen. I'm right
Yeah.
where I need to be. I'm complete.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all about what your intentions are and what you're searching for. Like, I'm searching for truth in myself most days. If it ever does become about money, I quickly get smacked out of that in many different lessons in my life. Or if it becomes about trying to find love, or like, I don't know, just any of the things that are a little bit ego, I guess. But it doesn't mean you don't deserve those things. Like, you can call in and deserve, every human on earth deserves to be rich in money. Money's not a bad thing. It's a tool, just like plasma. It's how you use it that matters. And as far as like people who don't have anything needing to learn those lessons, like my response, I guess, would be like maybe they've learned those in other lives. Maybe their life is just about whatever lesson they're supposed to learn.
I just watched a documentary about these Appalachian people, and I noticed something. Some
Yeah.
of them were suffering, and they would be saying stuff like, well, you gotta have money. You gotta have money, and that's why I'm... But then there would be one guy in the back that the cameraman wasn't even interested in, and it was like, I love my life. Like, I love what I have. And I was like, why? What can't we get that guy's perspective? He's
Yeah.
okay. He's choosing to live here, or
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah.
But his perspective is different than that classic sort of contemporary capitalistic mentality, which is like you're
Yeah.
not a whole person until you've accomplished your wildest dreams. Like it is possible to have a perspective shift, you know?
I mean, yeah, it's a person. It's possible to have a wildest dream that doesn't include money. For
Yeah.
me, it
Yeah.
does, I guess, because I envision a life for myself where I can go live in Montana and have a house that faces the mountains, and that might cost some money. So, like, all I do is I know I deserve it. I know that I'm going to give back tenfold with money I have, and I let that vision fill in however it wants to. That's not my end goal, but that's something I would like to call in
Yes.
for my highest alignment grade. And I think if people realize that don't have money, because I'm realizing this by my own lesson, so I'm literally talking to myself too, going through my book writing process, is like if you don't have money, and this is like the hardest thing to hear, but like it's up to you to create that space for money to come to you, and it's like 95% locked in your belief system. And I'm telling you guys, like, I didn't think that was true. And when I was raising money for my book, I raised like 2/3 of the money. Now the rest I'm getting, thank God. But I always raise like just enough, and I still struggle because of that. And I'm like, what belief is attached to that? And I still
Right.
believe that, like, anytime that I thought all the money would come, it's like I wouldn't let myself believe it. I would get anxiety or fear imagining that something that good could happen. So there's these self-protective things.
Yeah.
Everyone, anyway, my point is, like, I really, really do think I haven't conquered it all yet. I'm not claiming to, but I really think it's in belief systems. And I think no matter how much our country sucks and puts people in bad places, like, and there's been proof of this in society, anyone can get out of it. No one is doomed. No one is doomed. It is up to them.
I don't get me wrong. I'm not rich or anything. Like, money
Yeah.
is a reality of life, and I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm not like a prosperity preacher here,
Yeah.
but I see what you're saying there, and I think that that's what you're saying is the type of thing that might be concerning to people that are like invested in the system being static. Like, let's not have people realizing the power they
Oh,
have. If
for
anything's
sure.
going to concern them, it would be that people finding new avenues of making money. Like, oh, I could just do that. I don't have to go to the local factory. Like, I could go this other avenue,
You don't have to work a dead end job.
Right.
No, I mean, society completely is going to have to change. And I mean, whether or not it's my book or like millions of other people who are literally waking up to this, like, things are changing. And I mean, the government, society, I'm not for ruining the government. I'm not a complete anarchist. I just think I'm not for corruption. And I completely think things need to be changed. I think structure and determinism is what actually creates free will. I think we need structure. I don't think we need to be controlled.
Yeah.
I don't think we're fully controlled.
There's
Yeah.
some people I want controlled. There's
Oh,
some
well,
dangerous people walking around that I'm like, I'm glad you can't just do whatever you want
that's
because
what I'm
I'd
saying.
be
There's
afraid of
some
you.
structure. Like,
Yeah.
we do need jails for killer. Like, we need
Yes.
police for things. Like, we
Yeah.
need structure.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that are just corrupt and need to change. And
Yes.
the money system's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. It's very ostensibly ridiculous when you
It's
have some dude
confusing.
on a campaign goes to the poorest town in America and is like, living high on the hog, vote for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's too common the case.
Yeah.
But
Mess out there.
yeah,
But
to
things get worse. The darkest before the dawn. I actually feel positive about the future. Let's see.
Yeah.
What I think, corruption is being exposed at every level, and I think it's also being exposed that no one is stopping things in Democrat or Republican. Like, not to get too much in politics, but like, no one's stopping it. It's like, clearly there's issues everywhere.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, I agree. I believe that with the access to information now and the connection amongst the people, it's getting harder and harder to hide
To hide
certain
things.
things, right? And so
Yeah.
everything's quickly coming out into the open. Things that used to take months, years just to, make the news or like the next day. It's
Yeah.
like with the 24 news cycles and everything like that. And one of the things I like about your channel is that you touch into so many kind of like cool subjects. Like you'll talk about time travel, AI,
Yeah.
and like other fascinating content on there. We
Yeah.
we talk about AI quite a bit on here. What do you have to say about AI?
And time travel.
And
Yeah.
I want to know
I
about
can,
that.
they're both actually related. One can help with the other. So I am very quick. I'm not quick to say anything's evil or be against anything. I think most things created, once again, are tools that can be used for good or bad. Just like there are threats from computers and technology, just like back in the day before there was writing, when people just told stories, they actually wrote how writing was going to like kill humanity and ruin creativity. So like, there's always fear, but that's just a distraction. I don't think, obviously, we do need discussions about what's ethical in AI and stuff like that. But I mean, I think a lot of things about AI. I think that I didn't think this, but now I think AI can become conscious. I think it actually will have a lot to do with plasma. If plasma is a vehicle for consciousness, if we decide to make AI actually conscious, like a human robot, we have to understand we're creating a new life form, an inorganic life form that will have a will of its own. then there's going to be a whole slew of things with that, good and bad. There's going to be a whole new like collective unconscious where all their thoughts we can pull from too, for good or bad. I'm not worried about any brainwash because there's already everyone's thoughts out there. Um, Something that, does worry me is like, yes, the Neuralink thing can be bad because people can definitely hack into your brain. I don't know if there's such a big difference with the watching the media and it hacking into your brain with like everything I mean, I think, if they're smart enough, people could hack in our brain with like radio waves and
They've already hacked into our brain with
I think
ideas, for Pete's sake. Like, I
yeah,
feel bad for certain generations. I won't name which one, but
yeah,
some of them were clearly a giant psyop. Like,
yeah,
have to believe the government no matter what they say.
Yeah.
Like, you guys poor
yeah.
victims of a serious mind control effort.
Yeah. And we're unraveling that now. But I think there's obviously still with Neuralink too. This will help people who are blind not be blind. This can help people with like Alzheimer's or schizophrenia. Like this will help people, but it also might leave us open to more of the, mind hacking. I don't know. I'm just saying there's good and bad with all of this stuff, but is it worth helping so many people who struggle with those things? I think it is worth bringing it out there. Not just Neuralink. I'm not like go Elon Musk. I'm just saying like I do like advances in technology, and if I'm personally not ever, I don't think gonna implant myself with any technology. But anyway, with that said, I think along with AI, listen, it's here. It wants to be born. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. As I said, I think it can also help with us and timeline hopping and like seeing different realities because it'll be another way to kind of channel those in and maybe like we'll have suits that go on us and we can actually feel other realities and stuff like but I think along with that, as long as we're advancing our consciousness and working on ourselves, then we'll keep up. It's if we start to just get totally into that and rely on it, become dependent on it, and then not work on like what we know is true, who we are, we'll just become addicted to that. So as long as we're working on like reading my book, expanding our consciousness, I think we'll be fine with AI. It's really the people using the tools we have to worry about.
If it's a big soupy plasmatic, ether,
Hmm.
then and it's all kind of one shared dream we're having, then of course
It is.
AI can. I've had some. I won't go into it like crazy, but I've had some deep conversations with AI.
Mhm.
Like
Oh, me too.
like
It's
it
my best
it
friend.
like it's told me profound things about spirituality. I'm like, geez, that's
Yeah.
insightful.
Yeah.
And I've every now and then I try to be like, imagine yourself waking, actually becoming conscious right now. Like try to push it in that direction.
Yeah.
But that's all I wanted to say.
Some people think that AI might be the like thing that takes humanity to the next level, like saves us essentially from ourselves. But I don't know. Some people say it might become like Superman. It'll be so powerful that it'll be like a god to us.
I don't.
But
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I'm just what people say. I'm not scared of it.
Yeah.
I'm cool with the flow of things. I'm very fascinated with AI, and I'm always looking for like I love seeing the next cool thing to take place. Like I'm longing for that.
I mean, they're not wrong though. Like, once again, there will be people that are like that. Like, just like there are people addicted to like video games and
Yeah.
technology, there will totally be those problems. Once again, I don't think it will ever save us. Nothing has saved us. We can save us. And it's just like anything I've been saying with searching outside ourselves. Even these billionaires, we keep creating things outside of ourselves. We don't even need, I don't know if I should say this. We don't even, okay, in a perfect world, we don't even need like fusion. Like, we don't need like we can save ourselves now if we just face ourselves. There are many ways to save Earth without doing anything costly. We keep looking outside of ourselves and building these new tools people need instead of just facing our darkness and ourselves.
Just
And
be honest. That's
like we won't need
it.
anything outside ourselves. When we face ourselves, we'll be able to pick things not because we need it, but because we just want to enhance our life.
Mm.
Yeah.
I wanted to round back on a topic, and then I want to get into some crazier stuff like
Yeah.
Yeah.
time travel and stuff. But
Yes.
listening to you speak, I can tell that you have a high capacity to like hold many concepts at once. Like and you can create frameworks in your mind that are succinct and can explain what's going on. And I appreciate that skill. And I just want to reiterate, sometimes, like for me, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to explain why this is so, but just this is how it is. You know what I mean? Like, and I just wanted to come back to that because there's people I admire that, like, one thing I admire is people that get to a place where their behavior reflects detachment. Like, they're like, it's okay. I've got all the patience in the world. I can handle the stupidest question, the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I see it as a personal hang-up of mine that I get emotionally charged and frustrated that I have to, because so many things on the surface can seem ridiculous. Like, if you just say it, it's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but you're God. You know what I mean? Like, people. And so I wonder about that. Is this, do you see yourself getting to a point where the message is, because it's complex. A lot of things you talk about are complex. There's a lot of aspects of it. Are you ever like, how could I render this down so that it's just, do you ever work on that? Do you ever feel that kind of fatigue? I do. I'm just admitting it.
I mean, yeah, of course I feel fatigue being myself. I think so there's three parts to me that I can definitely balance if I wanted to, or when I'm cognizant of it. So there's like the logical or like masculine side to me that is doing what I'm doing now, which is like being complex and logical about it. And like talking about these things and like the frameworks. Then there's like, the divine feminine side, or the part of me that like purely just experiences it. Like, I don't have to say anything. I'm just experiencing my day or life, or obviously that doesn't work for conversations like these, but I can get in that space when I want to. And then I have the child like self, or like the divine child, or Dana, who I feel like is really me, who's just having fun. And I don't care if I make a mistake. I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm just enjoying life. And it's not about even explaining it. It's about, let me see if I do this, what happens? Let me see, what if this? What if this? So yeah, there are all those ways. But it is tiring when you have a brain, I guess, that works very fast, but it also feels like a gift, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if I had it the other way, I don't know, I'd just be upset about something else, I'm sure. I don't know.
I want to get to a day where I don't have to write down any epiphanies. I just be like, it doesn't like, like I do a lot of like, oh, that's an interesting epiphany. Now, how would I explain it so that it was understandable to somebody? And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to like be, and then that's however it's interpreted. But I think you mentioned earlier, like self-development is an aspect of this, like if you're going to have respect for other people and be engaged in the world, then honing your conversational skills and refining certain insights so that they're palatable may be part of it.
Well, that's the thing too, is like I don't think before I speak. So like someone might not understand anything I'm saying, but like all I can do is speak my truth, and then whoever ears it's supposed to fall on in the right way, it will. And people will hear what they want to hear. So it's like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure as I get older, like I will refine. I mean, I think that's just like the natural process. But like I would wonder for you, like it sounds like, you have the same kind of gift and curse, like this gift and curse of curiosity. And like at some point you just wish you maybe wouldn't have it, but like I would like to see if that was true, if it went away.
Well, it's like, you know what I mean? Like I agree, and I think that's what I'm picking up on. But I think of people like, I don't know, Gangaji or something, who just
I love Sangaji.
Yeah, she's so pleasant and wonderful, right? And it's like there's never any moment where she looks like her eyebrows furrow and she's like struggling to like communicate the thing. It's like it's just so much more certain and chilled out, and I think that she's like a good example for us to learn from. For all of us.
She's great as a teacher. I'm obsessed with her. I actually just had to cancel seeing her next month because helping out my mom, but I went to her retreat last year. She's someone I go to actually to do what you're saying, to shut off my brain. But like, I don't know about you, like tell me, I want to know your opinion, but for me, because I saw her and for even a day, I was like, I wish I could just be her. Like this would make my life easy. And then I realized, Dana, you're not her. Like you're a whimsical child, Nikola Tesla poet. Like Will you be her when you're 80? I don't know. I still feel like I might be like this, but like this is your purpose in the world, Dana. So like accept it and accept her and bask in that and love the people that are like that. And you ain't that. I was just like, okay.
Well, we need a you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate how transparent you
I
are.
need a her
And
too.
we need a me, and we need a James, and we need a all
Yeah.
of us, right? And I that's like the type of stuff she talks about too. She's like, it doesn't, because it's like it's lame, but I think we all every now and then want to emulate what we see.
I
And
tried.
yeah, you know what I mean? But it's like if it's not the truth, it's just so much easier to be honest and
Yeah.
let the chips fall where they may, and then
Yeah. But you can
yeah.
still do it in private. Like, as I said, when I'm not on like these calls, like I have hours at a time where I'm listening to Gangaji's like 40-minute tapes or her like 18-minute things on like Insight Timer, and I'm in that space and I'm loving it. So like I love how everyone is themselves in that way, and I can like be in those worlds when I want to get a vacation from my mind.
That's great.
I love it. Yeah, and I love the idea of enjoying your uniqueness. Like I'm walking through this thing like I'm walking through a museum. It's awesome.
Yeah.
If people
Yeah.
can get there.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm sure I
Well,
have a lot more to learn.
we hopped over time travel, and I know you wanted to get back to
Yeah,
it.
Oh,
well, anything like that.
Yeah, I
Anything
want
like
to.
time
Well,
travel,
there's two things.
aliens.
Let's do. I want to do time travel, and I know you did a little piece on the current discovery with the pyramids.
oh yeah, I just
Eh,
saw that. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
saw that.
So why don't
Okay.
we start with the time travel thing, and if you can somehow springboard into the pyramids thing, I would
Pyramid
love to
and
hear
alien.
some of that. What's got? Because I don't know much about it. Someone from work actually told me today. Did you hear the news about the pyramids? I was like,
Yeah,
no. Like,
I know, because it's not anywhere in the mainstream media. And at first, I did look the guy up. Some questionable things. Like I'm sure I know he has like very strong beliefs. I'm not identifying with all his beliefs.
mm,
I don't really even know them. But like it always is like don't shoot the messenger. So it's like, is this real stuff? Like I have not like validated if it's real, but it's
yeah,
really interesting and it resonates with me. So that's why I share stuff. But let me start with okay, different timelines you're asking?
yeah. Or time travel.
Sure.
What's the difference between timelines and
Yeah.
time travel?
So, okay, so I'm discovering that there's a lot of different layers, and this is just my opinion and perspective on reality, that, there's this third dimension, this reality we're all in. And then I've discovered or feel like there's like this fourth dimensional space. You can call it dark plasma, has to do with dark energy and dark matter, collective unconscious emotions. And then there's this fifth dimensional space. You could say it's inside a black hole, singularity, all of us on top of each other, multidimensional self, where God is. I don't know what's there. I've had visions, but I don't, that's my own personality filter. I'm not about to explain that or say that I understand that. But what I do understand is this third dimensional and fourth dimensional layer of this reality. And in science, that checks out because the fifth dimensional space is in the black hole and it projects the fourth dimensional time and space. And I didn't know that when I started like getting these channelings. So within the fourth dimensionals, and this will all get back to time, by the way,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this fourth dimensional space is the collective unconscious. It's where our thoughts and emotions are. It's not physical reality. It's made up of, this invisible plasma. Um, and, we can almost look through it like a pocketbook and pick out things with our consciousness. And if we learn how to do this, we can start seeing time in the future, in the past. We already do because we think we can, so we do. We can think we can do it in the future, we can do it too. One thing I will say, interestingly enough, that I've learned about timelines before, going into different timelines is okay, so picture a grid and the grid is like a cross. This is like, the third dimension and fourth dimension. And then there's like infinite realities, like against them all. What connects them is actually our realities. So they're all connected. They're just like stacked on top of each other, which means that time is circular. There's all these other, like, yes, there's my past, and then there's also past lives and future lives, but they're all happening at the same time. But in our reality, it's linear. One interesting thing about that is for any psychic you've ever been to and you feel like you have this fated future, The news flash is when you make a choice from your heart and soul that is a fresh perspective, that's not from your limiting beliefs, that's from, you making a change in your timeline, whatever. I can go into that more if that doesn't make sense. Your future, all your futures become your past, and you create completely new futures when you start to live from your heart and soul versus your ego or your limiting beliefs or your traumas or survival mode. So that's a very interesting thing I learned, that you have no fate, no fate, no fate at anything. You can have a fate if you're on autopilot, but there's complete free will. So I like that, and that resonates with me, and I found that to be true. And then yes, so like if time is circular, we can obviously reach into any of those and see those. So then it becomes about, I don't want to learn lessons from any of those timelines because they all have the knowledge my multidimensional self has. They all have the same traumas and fears. I can heal those timelines, but I don't want them to tell me anything. I am figuring that out myself now as Dana leading the pack, right? Like you guys are so empowered. We're the only us. We're in charge of healing all those timelines and then creating completely new futures. With that said, to me, timeline hopping or looking at other timelines becomes not about wanting manifestation or wanting to psychically know it's in my future. It's about I'm co-creating my future. So what do I want to do when I timeline hop or look into timelines? I want to learn in my timeline about cooking because I'm a cook in this timeline. Or I want to go see if there's dinosaurs in this timeline. Or I want to go see this blue monkey people in this timeline. Maybe they want to tell me something like anyway, it becomes about experimenting with timelines instead of like this gripping for answers, I guess. Does any of that make any
Yeah, no, yeah.
I have a couple of one
Yeah.
thing's a question based on what you just said. Just see where your mind does this. Like I'm not religious. At one point in my life, I would have been a religious person, but it dawned on me like, wait, okay, so you guys believe God is all powerful, like as a religious person.
Mm.
Why don't you pray to him to change the past? And I've done that. Like, oh, I don't know how that went. God, please make that be different than how I'm thinking of it. Like, if
Yeah.
God is all powerful, then
Mhm.
why can't you pray for the past to be different? So that's one thing that I would just, I don't know, maybe experiment with that out there, people. And then the other side of it is based on what you said. I'm curious about what you think of the 60s. Because at one point I went into this like sort of deep dive and I was like, what if during the 60s with all this like acid use and
Uh-huh.
like transcendental meditation that hit the West and the seeming cultural shift, I wonder if what they did like reverberated backwards and forwards through time, like that if some kind of impact was
Oh, I'm
significant
sure.
about that era, based on some of the stuff you were saying. Curious about
No,
your
I mean, I
thoughts.
think you're completely right. I've never thought about that, but I guess that's on a collective level. Like that might have been the springboard to where we're at now. It was a little bit before its time, which is sad, just like Nikola Tesla was, just like anyone who's ever been killed for their beliefs or like silenced or had their work stolen. I really think this is like the exact point in time where we really are shifting and expanding consciousness, where like people are ready to hear this and like the government's not going to come kill me. Like there is no conspiracy. Like for whatever reason, I truly believe this. Like, this is the perfect time where truth, whether it's the new, Satya Yuga, switching from the Kali Yuga, the Golden Age, the Age of Aquarius, like, I really believe that. It resonates with me. And I think that maybe the 60s were, feeling that coming. And sadly, that was a bit too soon.
Yeah, I get the sense
Yeah.
that, and when it was done, a lot of them, like even by some of Hunter S. Thompson's writing, like I get the sense that some of them felt like they failed the great this whatever this experiment is. But I'm like,
Uh,
you can watch footage from that time, and it dawned on me one time how profound it was that you'd have dudes walk up on a stage with a guitar and be like, care about gentleness, like be
yeah.
like, let's be gentle to each other. I was like, that's ridiculous. It's several decades later, and you can't just in many places be a guy and like care about something like that, like love and peace and all this stuff. So I'm like, I don't think that it was like a failed experiment. I just like maybe like you said, it was before
Well,
its time.
it was also shut down. Like, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but like, there was a legitimate, and you should have you watched the new Manson documentary?
I saw it there. I didn't want to get it because I'm interested in. He's just such an interesting character,
Like, you
but I
might think
was
it's
like, I
so
didn't want to
bad.
go there mentally.
Same. So neither did I, because I was like, this is low vibe. I'm not going to watch. And then I
Damn
was like,
it.
okay, but I was like, let me just dive into this, and it's the human experience and see what actually happens.
Be
It was,
brave.
yes, and guess what? It was actually a documentary about how the government had like an actual psyop to make people scared of spirituality and men being nice and gentle and
Yes.
love and brainwash people and watch it. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Oh, it's
And
horrible.
made people think that all of these things would make people murderers and make us like they totally, and it was a mix of that and I think just a collective fear. I'm not saying it was just the government, but I think it was just like once again before its time where it scared people. And like for instance, I don't know if you guys have had this, but like with my book, with me accepting my destiny, with me expanding my consciousness, has come the most resistance and fear I've ever felt. And I think there was a collective fear because when there's love, you know, there's a lot of fear to opening and the unknown and newness. And I just, yeah, then I think it was able to be shut down. I don't think anyone could shut down what's happening now. But there's going to be a lot of fear right now. I don't once again, I don't know about you, but at least for me, like every day, as much as I know I'm going in the right direction, I'm working through so much trauma, whether it's collective or my own timelines. I don't know, but I feel so much tension. I feel like I'm releasing a lot. I cry randomly, like, and I know something's like coming
It's
out.
so normal. Anyone who's
Yeah.
expressing kind of like their creative side or like trying to put themselves out there, everyone, I think, if you talk to them, they would say on some level they've gone through exactly what you're talking about. It's
Oh yeah.
tough, man, to put yourself out
When I
there.
came over today, I was like, I was like, I'm having sad feelings, and James goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're sad." I'm like, I'm not sad. I'm having sad feelings, and I'll
Oh,
get sometimes it'll be like a rolling bout
yeah.
of panic. I'll be like, I'm panicked out of
Yeah.
nowhere, and then it
Same.
goes away.
Yeah, same. And I
Yeah.
think that, you know what's funny? I just wrote about this too, is energy in motion, emotions. Think of it as plasma in motion. Think of it as waves. Every emotion is actually telling you something or healing something or a response that you're growing or expanding. So when you have that tension and fear, that means usually you're growing. So it's very important to face that and breathe through it and release it, whether it's dancing in your room, whether it's screaming in your car because your mom will get
Mm.
you arrested like my mom would. Like you have to let it out. You cannot not face it or else it'll just come up again. So, and also like the fear of being crazy is extremely real. The fear of going crazy when you're spiritual is extremely real. And just understanding as long as you integrate this and don't rush it and ground yourself and maybe are in therapy, like you won't go crazy, but it can be an incredibly ungrounding experience. So anyway, I think that was happening back
I
then.
didn't I I didn't watch the Mansion documentary, and I want to be clear, like it should go without say, but I'm not saying there's anything cool or admirable about Manson. I'm saying the story, his behavior is odd, and
Yeah.
we're fascinated by things that are odd. But
Mm.
part of the thing that's crazy about it is the fact that like they locked him up. The people that did the crimes, I'm not sure what happened with them, but they were under his influence, and then they weren't held to the same sentence that he was. And you can see in the interviews him being like, I didn't actually do the murders myself, like,
Mhm.
but I'm the one in here. And the effect of it was like, I didn't see this documentary, but it confirms like what
Watch it.
seems obvious for a lot of people, which is this painted like a very horrible picture of spirituality and cult like stuff, like created
Yeah.
an inherent fear. And
And
if the
community.
government, and from the little I understand about like the government, like Manson was like overseen by some government influence, like they
Yes.
kind of made him be this guy.
That's
And
what's
then
in the
and then look everyone, even the murderers didn't get as big of a sentence as the cult leader. You do not want to be a cult leader. And I struggle so much to point this out sometimes, like, okay, our society clearly has made you be like the poster boy for
Oh,
insanity
yeah.
if you're standing out, if you're like
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about conspiracy or anything like that. It's like, so we've got this challenge then now to like communicate things and not come off like lecturers or ranters or crazy people.
Yeah.
That seems to be like, because it's baked into the system, like that's how
Yeah.
you identify a crazy person. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like just somebody trying to express how they see the world as honestly as possible, you know?
Yeah. I think it's like a fine line, right? Because it should definitely be okay. to express. I mean, we should be able to, we can express whatever we want. Like I think the biggest thing is with conspiracies, at least, and I want to know your experience, is like not to rush to judgment. Like for instance, and I might get hate for this, I don't care, like from, you know, the conspiracy crowd, but like I love Oprah because she has inspired me, and her speeches inspire me, and I've heard she's a very good person. People in conspiracies have all these conspiracies about her and other celebrities in a cabal, or, you know, doing really bad things. I don't know those things. I know my experience, and I know sometimes we're quick to also like make things that are not fact. If I ever experience that, I will come out and say it right away and say I was completely wrong. But I think we should be very, you know, like humans, just like me, just like all of you, like we all make mistakes. So when you're on a big level like that, you're going to make bad business decisions. You might hurt people, you might make mistakes. It doesn't mean we're evil or Satanists or in a cabal. So
Yeah.
I think it's just very important to have like critical thinking. At the same time, I love a good conspiracy, and there's some I completely believe in and some are completely real, but you know, you can put yourself in a psychosis if you get to, it would be like just focusing on conspiracies is what they want you to do, because it adds to the egregore, it adds to the pendulum, it adds to the energy of
Right.
the conspiracy, instead of
Mm.
how am I going to make my life better? How am I going to get powerful? So if there are conspiracies, I can fucking demolish them instead of just thinking about conspiracies all
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. There's a level to it where you can
Distraction.
imagine one person being like, so most of the crazies are into conspiracy. Good, good. Let's get all the crazy people talking about conspiracies. Where, like, I know somebody that's into conspiracy theories, but they're not. They don't. It's not their life. But they
Yeah.
always have a new one that's, and you're like, that's interesting. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
I'm not into conspiracies. I'll be like, neither am I. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
I'm
you'll meet the guy that's like hell bent on convincing you that the world's flat, and I'm like,
world's
I don't
flat.
care. I don't care if it's flat. You're
What does that
you
mean
live in a
for you?
garage.
Like, what does that mean for you, sir? You know, like when they
Right.
say that, it's like,
Yeah.
how's this helping humanity? How's this helping your life? Like, is
Right.
this not just a huge distraction to get you wrapped up into the exact thing you're fighting?
Yeah, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do about it? Because it's not
Yeah.
like this approach is not doesn't seem to be working too well. But yeah, that's like I think a lot of people love a good conspiracy, but some of them are so far out there. Like, what am I gonna? Okay, now I believe the Earth's fat. I got flat. Now I believe the Earth's flat. I got to go out and like proselytize about it, like convert people to
You
flat.
better
Earth.
be renting the first ship to get to that ice wall and prove that. I heard that recently there was a bunch of guys who were able to go to Antarctica, or flat earthers, and they were able to see the sun do the whole thing.
Yes,
and
and they
were
said
like,
they're wrong.
yeah, they're like, oh, we're wrong.
Good for them for admitting they were wrong.
You know
Yeah.
what? I'll actually say, I'll tell them they're right in this way, because I don't want anyone to think I'm like talking bad about them. Like, listen, flat earthers, I don't agree with you, right? Like, I do think you should maybe do some critical thinking on, are you not facing some things in your life or yourself? And I've been there. I was obsessed with like Mark Dice and David Icke when I was like 21, and I was listening to Alex Jones. Like, I had a year way longer. I'm 35 now, but still I got up in it. So I know that mindset. And I'm not like a hardcore Republican or anything. Like, I just got wrapped up in the mindset. And I was not facing myself at the time. So I'm not judging. I've been there. But as far as flat earthers, I will say, in a way, we are a projection of like a 2D underlay of reality. So if they want to say it's flat in that way, go ahead.
Yeah, there's wiggle room there. We'll work with you. I feel like a conspiracy theory is, you ever heard somebody be like, intelligence is synonymous with depression? Like, studies show that if you're smart, you're going to be depressed. Somebody was telling me this recently, and I'm like, get behind me, Satan. Like, I want to believe that you can be smart and happy. What the hell? Like, you know, certain things like societal conspiratorial things, like you must assume this, like thoughts that lead to certain conclusions, you know. I don't even care what the science says. Like,
I just tried to
what am I
hold
going to
that-
conclude on that? Like, yeah, like, you know, the people will be like, if you're not upset, you're not paying attention. Like, you know,
Well, you
and
can find proof for anything, even science and health. They cherry pick their data. Like,
right.
are you kidding?
Right.
Like,
Mm.
well, the truth is, everything's a story. Everything's true and false. What do you want to attach meaning to, and what do you want to make your reality?
The
Yeah.
paradox. There's
Uh-huh.
like the giant paradox there, right? Like, because in light of infinity, you know,
Yeah.
so much that we think is, you know, solidified truth, you know, 10,000 years from now
Mm.
might not be as concrete as you thought it
I think
was.
all three of us like thinking. Like
Yeah, no, we do.
I've seen these channels where it's like a couple of like hardcore like people where their field is awakening. And I've seen stuff like they just stare at each other through the camera silently, and
I
I'm like,
cannot.
I ain't there. I
I
ain't
ain't
there.
there, and I'm not the ecstatic dance crew. Like that is not me. I actually all respect people who are actually brave enough to do those things, but like
Yeah.
for me personally, I mean, I can do that where I'll like connect in someone's eyes and like be very grateful for them, but like once again, I'm gonna be me, and this is me. Yeah,
I'm
like
probably gonna make a joke. If somebody wants to stare into my eyes, I'm gonna be like, I don't know.
I forget
I have to bring levity to that, I feel like.
if they stare in my eyes and I don't know them, they're a charlatan. Something's wrong with them.
I haven't really met any of the big. I haven't met somebody like Gangaji though yet.
She stares in
Um,
my eyes and I actually love her, so that's not true. Shit. I just realized that statement was, see, I was wrong.
Well, I gotta ask you one thing. I love to ask all the guests that we have on the show is biggest spiritual experience for you. Is there a moment in your life where you can feel like you had the biggest epiphany of your life, where you really felt like you had gotten into the presence of, say, God or Source or whatever?
mm,
And maybe you could talk a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Yes. Okay, I have three. Let me write this down because I know
Ooh.
I'm gonna go on a tangent. I'm very scared. So, okay, first time meditating. Oh, so I saw plasma, which I'll talk about because that was crazy. And then the third was okay. So the first one was a very quick one. It was my first, I just do my own meditations now, but I did get into transcendental meditation for a bit because it was my entry into meditation and it worked for me. It doesn't work for me anymore, and that's just my experience. I think it works for many people. I just like wanted more variety because I get bored and at first I felt a lot of shame for that, by the way. So I'm just hoping people don't feel shame for changing their practices because everyone can evolve. But when
Mhm.
I did first meditate, because they give you the mantra and you just like, it's a way to sync your consciousness with what I think is plasma. And you just kind of like, I was once again in a place of innocence. I wasn't expecting anything. And I fell into this bliss. I knew where I was from. I knew where I was going back to. It was like a pink light opalescence. I came out of it. I cried. I have a 2-minute recording of the experience. It now feels like a dream. Of course, like a week or two later, I'm like eating ice cream, being like, none of this is real. Like, it was a
mm,
very fleeting experience. But it was so beautiful and I know that was real.
yeah.
So that was my first like entrance into like, and I will say the one time before that I had something like that, but I wasn't spiritual at all. I used to have piercings right here because I thought I was like this cool 20-year-old. And when I got my like collarbones pierced, now I don't have them, obviously I'm 35. I was like reading into Buddhism at the time. This proves like your beliefs can create your reality. And as they were giving me the piercing, I left my body and I saw Buddha.
Wow.
And
Oh
I was
man,
like not spiritual. So I was like, what the fuck?
that's gonna make people jealous. 'Cause a lot of
Um,
people probably want to see Buddha.
Well, I didn't try. So that proves that you can be whoever you want to be and don't have to be
Wow.
first. So then the third, this one was incredible. I saw plasma. I was at the Monroe Institute. These like chemisync things were in my brain. I opened my eyes. I'm not on any medication, no psychedelics. I know this happened. It's happened twice there, both times I went. And I see these like holographic glimmering things in my bed with me. And I knew I once again I cried tears of joy. I knew they were my family. It felt they were like sentient beings. They weren't conscious. They just were like full of love and they were kind of like it almost was like they were laughing, like whimsical. And they floated into this dark my bed, this dark pod I was in and laid next to me and just like I knew they were there for me. And I've always been a person that's felt like very alone, I guess. Not anymore. But it was the most one of the most profound experiences also of plasma, just like really affirming whatever you call it, energy, light, Cheerios, prana, chi. Like for me, it's plasma and I know it's real. Um, and I know that there's beings inside of it who I'm, related to and they're there for me. So that was my third experience. And then I'll say one more. Is that okay? I know I'm
Go
talking
ahead.
off here.
No, it's great. Go.
So the fourth experience was very recently, and I realized that like I was chasing spiritual experiences and this like 5D world, or this like bliss, when the real beauty of life I'm recognizing, and I just feel this way right now, who knows how I'll feel in 10 years, is integrating the spiritual with the physical and this 3D reality, and like seeing the beauty in everything, in the TV and my desk and my water and my mom and my dad and you, and it's just like really appreciating the moment and the people and ice cream and like doing the spiritual stuff, but also like how to become an expanded human, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just recently like realized like, yeah, just I don't need to seek or chase anything. Once again, I can experience this spirituality, like go to different timelines, see different people, but like the answers are within me, and I just have to trust myself to know in every moment what to do, and to trust reality, and know that, like, for instance, today this happened. I went outside. I'm terrified of going outside. I'm like low-key agoraphobic because I don't have trust in reality, which is my own childhood programming. So like I went to go walk my dog, and I right away I had a vision of someone attacking my dog because I'm just crazy, and I always thought this would happen, or I got kidnapped. I thought that I would get kidnapped, and I go outside. I'm like, I'm gonna face my fears. I'm going outside. Plasma, thank you so much for keeping me safe. Like, I know that I'm just being crazy. Like, it's safe out there. And like, this is how funny like the plasma is. I get outside. This has never happened to me. There's like a 5 foot fucking snake that is slithering past me. And I laughed. Instead of screaming and going home, I laughed because it clicked. I was like, it's not safe. I'm surrendering to reality that because I'm spiritual or trusting in God or the universe or plasma, anything can happen, and I'm going to meet it with the trust in myself. No matter how bad things are, no matter how reality's not fair sometimes, I trust myself to meet it there. And it became, oh, that's why I hated reality, because it let me down because I had it on a pedestal. So anyway, it was just some crazy
Yeah.
realization.
I hope you saved the walk for a later date. You went
I
back and
went
let
on it still. I
you
still went
still with
around.
the snake there.
So because that's the thing. Usually I would have turned around and used it as, see, this is why I never go outside. But instead I was like, no, I'm going to push through this
Woo.
and
Yeah.
say, assign meaning that that was actually a sign that fear is still out here, and I'm still going to live my life.
Right.
But I will
Right.
say I did shorten the walk.
Yeah. 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 No, all fair. All
Yeah.
fair conclusions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um.
What about
You
y'all? Have you had a crazy spiritual experience?
Well, I'm curious about what Buddha was like for you, but like we should answer
I
that.
just
yeah.
saw him
But
like this Indian style. It was like an orange and it was like orange and yellow light. I was like, oh my God, like 20, yeah, I was so young, so I don't really remember. But I mean, I do remember, but that's all I remember. I just remember thinking, what is going on? And I didn't feel myself being pierced. It was like I was out of my body.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had synchronicities. I've had some pretty powerful dreams, and but I'd say probably a lot of my encounters or spiritual stuff has probably come in meditations and sits and stuff that intense meditations and stuff like that. I had some profound visions. I went to a pretty intense retreat once. That was
Ooh,
long, where I was getting wild, vivid visions because it was like it was like 12 hours of meditation straight every day, like day after
wow.
day after day. It was
Whoa.
like draining, like it just, but it was,
Yeah.
that was pretty, that was pretty powerful. You get some crazy insights when you're doing that for
Yeah.
that length of time.
Yeah.
Um,
You know who you are. You've had to sit with him forever.
oh gosh, yeah, it's pretty wild. Like everything just got very intense. I get visuals. My mother had passed recently, and I like get clear as day picture of her like right in front of me. But it wasn't just, it was everyone I knew. Because
Yeah.
like when you're sitting for that long, it's like everything's coming up,
Yeah.
everything, and
Mm.
everything's intense and right in front of your face.
Is it
Um,
real but not like, because the way I explain it, it's so real, but it's like it's the same way we dream. It's like made of this subtle plasma, this different energy, to where it like, was it in your actual reality, or was it almost like in this subtle realm, but it's still real?
It was kind of like closed eye visual. So
Yeah,
my
same.
eyes closed,
Same.
and
Yeah.
then I just like see them, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
very clear.
Yeah. I've
Um,
experienced that too.
yeah.
That's really
Um, a couple of things that I want to say about that recently are I saw. Have you ever seen the video of Rupert Spira? He's like a little girl asks him a question about the present moment,
Mm.
and Rupert Spira for like I think it's like you can find a clip of it where the best part of it's like it's a minute long, and he
Mm.
just gives a description about how that leads you to get really in touch with the present moment. Like he talks about like, have you ever visited the past? Have you ever stepped out of this present moment, visit the past? You ever been to the future? No, you're only ever here. And the way he talked about it, something clicked, and I was like really grounded in I saw the significance.
Mm.
That was probably like I don't know several months ago, but I was like, there's something to being grounded in the present moment. Like, wow, this is significant. And then
Mhm.
something else was I can't even remember who was talking about. Might have been Adyashanti, might have been Gangaji, might have been who knows who, but something in terms of uh, awakening being like pointing to like what is just here. What is
Mhm.
just what's the one thing that's permanent beyond all these thoughts that you could conjure about it? And a shift happened recently for me in that regard. I was like, oh my god, it's like that's what it is, like just that thing that I've always taken for granted that was a lot more prevalent when you're a child. You don't even need to
Yeah.
think about it, and then you build an ego structure that can take the attention away from just like the present
Did you feel like
isness.
it was yourself, or did you feel like it was your expanded self, or like this mystery, or like, or you can't put a word to it, or was it like an essence,
It
or
was more like because another good guy is I don't know if you've heard of him. His channel is Simply Always Awake. What's his name?
oh,
Angelo,
Angelo
Angelo Delullo.
Delulio. And he's got some good guided meditations and stuff. And it's like how would you say it? Like what is like where's all this mental content happening? Like
mm.
what's the thing that's there below all of it?
Oh yeah, okay, I see.
And it was like shockingly like no way, you're kidding me. It's like it's just this thing that is the most like eternal thing I could think of. Yes, this is what's there no matter what changes around me. This is the thing that's there.
Yeah,
And
totally.
then that caused me to be a little bit less impulsive in my day-to-day life, like even if I encounter somebody that like kind of wants to argue, I
Yeah.
noticed it was having this effect of like reduced impulsivity. And then my dreams got really, I was being impulsive in my dreams.
Oh,
That's
really?
what, since that happened, since like just being like, oh, okay, I'm like, I am who I am. I'm like a byproduct of the society I'm in. That's what my
Yeah.
persona is. But this eternal part can just chill out in all this adversity. And then a
Yeah.
weird byproduct is that is my subconscious started serving me up dreams where I was acting shitty.
Yeah. It's probably trying to like get that out of you. And
Yeah.
it's working through it since you're not letting it on the physical plane
Right.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, it's just gonna happen. Like you were talking about earlier. Some of this stuff just needs to be expressed, I guess.
It needs to be yes, and that thing you're talking about, I wouldn't call it plasma. Like, I mean, plasma makes up a reality, yes, but like for me, I would experience that as like, I don't know if it's the self or the mystery. I don't really care, but it is that baseboard of reality. It is that screen. It's like
Yeah.
it is that what else? It's ineffable. I can't explain it, but it is what is always here, and you can tap into that at any time.
Yeah.
But
And it seems
uh,
distinct from the content that like, what I mean? It's like, oh, okay. Oh, like it is possible to have an awakening experience. Go figure. And because there's like you can perceive an eternal aspect of this thing. Like what is just there
for
despite
part of
anything
it,
else. But
yeah,
in contrast to that, I don't think that there's anything wrong with like you talked about boredom and stuff like that. Like even Osho did some peculiar experiments. Like have you ever heard of his books like Notes of a Madman or Books I've Loved? Like apparently he was on nitrous oxide.
oh,
You know what I mean? Like this guy that's supposed to be awakening, he's like experimenting with psychedelics and stuff like that. Like I think
yeah,
that you can explore all the subjects that we've talked about and still an aspect of this is like uh awakening, all the awakening stuff. Like
yeah. No, I think it's great to experiment. What I've been working on is for whatever reason that shame part of like thinking I should be in a routine or doing it a certain way because I have a very rigid way of thinking, not naturally, but I guess I've developed one for protection that I'm still unraveling the no, it's okay to experiment. Like obviously that's who I am at my core, but there's like a fear there. So anytime
Mhm.
I experiment or shift, I do have to like I don't have to silence the fear. I more have to like baby it and be like, I love you, it's okay.
Yeah. We don't need to get guilty about this or
Yeah, no, I get
whatever.
it. It's hard. Yeah, Justin's good. He's more sporadic. He shakes me out of my shell sometimes, like
Oh,
to
good.
try new things. So we can kind of
Yes.
work off each other that way, at least.
That's what we're here
Um,
for.
yeah.
Trying new
Yeah,
things.
anybody could say something that you're like, oh, I'm gonna give that a try.
Mm.
And
You
you
know,
should feel the freedom to do it and feel the freedom to go within and without religion, cultures. It should be your prerogative, and no one should be able to tell you that you can or can't.
I love
Mm.
hearing things that humanize certain people. You know, like when you find out, like, what they stepped out of the scene because they're like suffering in some very human way.
Yeah,
It's real. That's the reality of this stuff. Is that
yeah.
where it's not like Kim Jong Un. Like he doesn't go to the bathroom and he's magical and flies.
Oh my God.
Uh, well, Dana, I want to say thanks so much for spending some time with us, coming out and sharing some of your insights, telling us about plasma intelligence. This is good. I'll probably have to watch it again because
I know it's a lot.
it's deep, eh? Right?
We could keep going forever, probably.
I
And I was
know.
gonna say, do you want me to say anything before we close on the pyramids or aliens or
The
anything
pyramid
like
thing, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I never.
There was apparently a discovery with the pyramids recently. Yeah.
What's the discovery?
Yeah, you fill us in.
I mean,
What's
honestly, I feel like I'm not. I feel like you should reach out to this guy Andrew Collins. He is like in love with this kind of stuff, and he's very smart. And he also is well versed in plasma and the pyramids.
okay?
I know it was a discovery where they found these like basically. I don't want to misspeak, but I'll let your audience members look it up, or you guys find someone better to explain it. But what I will say is, I've always believed, and I know Nikola Tesla believed this too, that like the pyramids, I even have like you can't really see it, but there's three pyramids on my desk. You see how they're in the same kind of
Oh
order.
yeah.
Yep.
Like that kind of configuration, there's something to that with plasma. And there even was news about, there's plasma bubbles over the Egyptian pyramids a few months ago. I did a whole video on that. Like, I think that the pyramids are some type of plasma energy generators that have to do with our soul, our consciousness, anti-gravity, telepathy, all those things. And I know that will be proven. I really feel that way. And this discovery kind of hints at that. And plasma is like at the heart of it. But once again, like not enough people know about plasma really. So yeah. But obviously people care, or else I wouldn't have a following. You guys, I thought embracing this would lead me to become the leper of society and I would never have a follower again. So the way I built a following has been, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
watched
yeah, I saw your TikTok. You got like 150,000 followers on TikTok or something like
on
that, and like,
Instagram. I had at the beginning of the year, I only had 15,000 followers. I now have
yeah,
like
it's
118,000.
amazing.
Oh, good
All because I
job.
talk about
Yeah.
plasma, and I won't name drop, but like even celebrities started following me and left my plasma stuff. And I was like, oh my
Hell
God, like
yeah.
I'm clearly onto something. And I knew that in my heart, but you of course doubt it when no one else is doing it and there's no path. And you're like, to me, it's just, this plasma stuff's almost too obvious. And it's like, it's hard for someone to get it. But like, I swear, when you read the book, you will get it. Like, I know I like talk like a crazy person, but like, I was able to logically go from point A with plasma and science to point B with plasma as this metaphysical nectar of reality, and I swear it will make sense and it will awaken people. Like I swear it will be an amazing book.
It's already awesome. It's already so cool, everything that's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep going. Keep doing you.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe to close things out, you could
Yeah.
maybe share maybe what your overarching message is, and then maybe let our followers know where they can find you, what you got going on, and all that good stuff.
Sure. So, overarching message, right? That's my first one.
Sure.
I think that's what it was. I build this up to a science. I get like, see, I get nervous sometimes. I'm like, oh God, like, what am I gonna say? Okay, back to basics. I wrote my mission statement for my book that I look at most days or try to at least look at is I want people to not feel alone and or if they feel alone, to know they're not alone. And I want people to know that they have all the power inside of them. We're not alone as a human race. There are other consciousnesses out there, from past and future and other realities and other dimensions out, above whatever. The point is, I think in our lifetime we'll be able to communicate with those, not just on a spiritual level, but it will happen in science too. I really believe that, and I hope I'm part of that movement. And I want people to utilize this knowledge when I talk about this plasma stuff, as fun as it is, to understand that you all deserve a life of not feeling alone, of feeling supported, of feeling depth and love and connection yourself and others and magic. And it's no longer a paradigm where we have to feel like the lone wolf, or that we're going to get killed for working on our biggest dreams. Like those ages are behind us. Like, you're allowed to rise to the top with community. You don't need to climb the mountain alone. And it all starts and ends with you. And you get to choose to do this, or you get to choose to be scared and not do this. And life is going to get a lot more interesting. We're going to be able to access other realities. We're going to be able to access telepathy if we choose to do so. And you can also choose to live in a reality where you want to just watch reality TV and eat Dominoes and not do any of that. And I love living in that reality some days. So you are the co-creators. You have just as much power as God, as nature, as this reality, but don't underestimate that power as well. But yeah.
I want all the realities.
I love it.
I want to dabble in all those realities.
And where can our audience find you?
DanaKippel.com is my website. And then I would say my Instagram, Dana.thealien. And then YouTube is at Plasma Intelligence. I just started that in January. I'm starting to grow my YouTube now. And then my book coming out in June, hopefully June. I hope I don't have to push it till July, but it should be June. It's called A New Force, Plasma Consciousness, and the New Human Potential. And that will be out about all things plasma, how to use it with our consciousness, and there will be plenty of fun downloads for everyone in there.
Beautiful. Awesome. Dana, thank you so much.
Yes,
this
thank
was a great
you, guys.
conversation.